Gandhi. Written by Jennifer Dobner. Early life. Mohandas Gandhi was born in India into a large Hindu family on October 2, 1869. Many Hindus believe in non-violence and caring for and respecting others. His parents taught him about these values. Gandhi went to school in London and became a lawyer. When he came back to India, he had a hard time finding work. He ended up taking a job in South Africa. South Africa. The British ruled both India and South Africa at that time. In South Africa, people who were not white were treated poorly. Even though Gandhi was a lawyer, he was treated poorly too. He thought this was unfair and felt he had to do something. Gandhi stayed in South Africa to help the Indians in that country. His work brought attention to him, and he became a leader among the Indian people. Gandhi led many non-violent protests. He asked Indians not to follow the unfair laws and to take the punishments. Many Indians were hurt or put in jail, including Gandhi. People around the world heard about the punishments and were shocked. Gandhi stayed in South Africa for 20 years. He worked for better treatment of Indians. During this time, he stopped wearing Western clothes. Instead, he wore homemade robes and sandals. A leader in India. When Gandhi returned to India, he worked to free the country from British rule. He held protests against the British. In one protest, he asked people to stay home from work and school. Some protesters were violent, however, so Gandhi ended the protest. Some people held their own protests. At one peaceful protest, many people were hurt or killed when British soldiers shot at them. Gandhi was very sad about the shootings. He started another nonviolent protest. He asked Indians to stop buying British goods or working for the British in any way. Many Indians did as Gandhi asked, but a few were violent. The British blamed Gandhi for the violence and put him in prison for 2 years. Marriage. When Gandhi was very young, his parents arranged his marriage to Kasturba. She supported Gandhi's ideas and worked with him. Kasturba and Gandhi had 4 sons. The Salt March. In India, only British companies could gather and sell salt. The government also placed a large tax on any salt sold. Gandhi thought it was unfair for Indians to pay the British for the salt from Indian lands. Salt. India's coast has large salt flats. Seawater evaporates here, leaving salt behind on the ground. Until the government made it illegal, Indians could simply gather and use this salt for free. Gandhi and some followers began a 240-mile, 386-kilometer walk across India to the sea. Along the way, Gandhi spoke to many people. When he reached the coast, thousands of Indians were following him. Gandhi went to the shore and picked up some salt from the ground. His followers did the same. Gandhi was arrested, along with more than 60,000 others. Change begins. The arrests and treatment of Indians caused anger around the world. Finally, British and Indian leaders began to talk about the British leaving India. Hindus and Muslims had often been in conflict in India. Gandhi believed that the two religions could live in peace. Many Muslims wanted their own country, however. When the British rule of India ended, the country was split into two countries. Gandhi was very sad about the split. Many Muslim people formed the new country of Pakistan. Millions of people moved from one country to the other. There was much fighting. Gandhi was able to bring peace to some places. However, even Gandhi could not stop all the fighting. Fasting. Gandhi often used fasting or going without food as a form of protest. In 1947, Gandhi fasted to protest the conflict in Calcutta, and the conflict ended. He fasted again in 1948 and convinced the people of Delhi to find peace. Death and legacy. When Gandhi was on his way to a prayer meeting, a man in the crowd shot him 3 times. Gandhi's death saddened people everywhere. However, this small man, whom Indians called Mahatma, or Great Soul, continued to change the world. He inspired such great leaders as Martin Luther King Jr. and Nelson Mandela. He will continue to inspire people for many years to come.